Boomvanes are current flow-powered devices that allow oil spill boom to be deployed and controlled from the shoreline without having to deploy in-stream anchors or other anchoring systems with vessels. Its unique design uses the current of water to pass through the vanes, deflecting the force in an outward motion with a boom in tow. The rudder keeps the boom vane stable in this direction, and the mooring line determines the angle of deflection. The rudder can also be tripped using a hand line to change the angle of the deflection and retrieve back to shore. In lakes, boom vanes are used in conjunction with one or more vessels in sweeping applications to direct oil to a recovery area. WCSS has two sizes available depending on the application required, the larger being capable of deploying up to 150 meters of boom. Working with a boom vane can be dangerous. Ensure only trained personnel are involved in the deployment operation, and that all safety concerns have been identified and safety controls implemented. Always ask if you are unsure or have any questions. When assembling the boom vane, refer to the manual for detailed instructions. It's fairly easy and no tools are required. It is important to lay out all of the components to ensure that they are all checked and accounted for before assembly. To start, you will need to extend the stabilizer arm and pin it in place. The boom vane will now have to be oriented so that it will deploy in the correct direction. With the stabilizer and rudder facing downstream, the point of the V of the frame must be pointing away from the river. Now attach the float on top of the main wing, with the widest part of the red float closest to the hinged section. The stabilizer wing can now be mounted. Using the colored dots will help with the orientation of the placement. Now that the assembly is complete, it's time for the rigging. Securely attach the bridle to the boom vane and then to the connector plate. When deploying in a river, ensure that you have a solid anchoring point, the mooring line is taut, and when deployed, the boom will be at an appropriate angle to the current. To determine the length of the mooring line required, choose the spot in the river where the boom vane will be located and estimate the length of mooring line that will be required from the anchoring point to the boom vane location. Lay the entire system along the bank with some slack on the boom. Connect the mooring line and the boom with a minimum of an 8-meter line from the paravane to the connector plate, and lastly, attach the retrieval line to the rudder. Now the unit is ready for deployment. If hand lines are required to keep the boom straight, they will need to be installed and manned prior to deploying the boom vane. It may be necessary to push the boom vane out into the current with the stabilizer arms pointing downstream, with the control rudder in the outgoing position to get the vane into a position where it is carried out into the channel. Having some slack between the boom and the connector plate can also help get the vane moving in slower water along the shoreline. When the boom vane is advancing out into the current, the control line needs to be manned to ensure the line stays tight enough not to get tangled up in the rigging, but not so tight that it trips the control rudder. When the boom vane has tightened up the boom, further adjustment of the mooring line may be required until the optimum boom angle to current speed is achieved. To retrieve the boom vane, pull the control line which trips the control rudder. The unit will move towards the shore with the boom in tow. The boom vane can be used in a lake environment in a basic slow-speed trailing U-sweep configuration, and when only one vessel is available to contain a spill. With one boom vane only, the sweep is offset from the vessel's path, which allows for close shave of shorelines and shallows. Control of the vessel is very important to contain product. As well, the larger boom vane is recommended for this operation. So whether it be on lakes or on rivers, the boom vane is a valuable option that WCSS has within its collection of resources.